Hello guys, and welcome back to Big Brother, the second live eviction. And there was a lot of entertaining content in this episode, and the decision came down to Henry and Zach. Who went? You decided. Now, before we get into this episode, I just want to say thank you guys very, very much for the support on these videos. If you're liking what you're seeing, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Do all that YouTube stuff. And yeah, basically just give me any indication that you're enjoying what you're seeing. So, the first topic that was really discussed in any kind of length in this episode was the punishment from last episode, and it was disappointing that it seems like a whole day has passed now and Matty and Noki is still not over it. The rest of the house seems to have moved on, but those two who, let's be honest, weren't really that involved in the situation. Noki thought they might have written her name, but they didn't, and Matty, nothing bad was said about him. It was just, oh, I thought Matty nominated me. Which, fair enough. I think Matty was upset that he thought Hallie was a friend, and sort of that action made him feel like maybe she isn't a friend. But I really don't think it's that deep. I really don't think it's that deep. I think she's just very aware that she's pissed off many people this week. And let's be honest, you've been quite vocal about grown-up people not having tantrums. So, I don't know. Put two and two together. Maybe she thought you were going to nominate her. I don't know. But just, can we please just stop with the conversations about it? Because I've had enough. It's boring now. It's yesterday's news. Why are we still talking about it? Zach was also still talking about it, and I understand why he was, because they did say that he was a game player, so I can understand why he's still upset. But still, he said something along the lines of like, why am I taking sides when it's not my beef? Then why are you chatting about it? Why do you keep mentioning it? Because you don't have to. You don't have to talk about it. Why do you keep bringing it up? The best part of this episode was the task that they gave them, and they opened up Big Brother's foul fast food restaurant, and oh my goodness, it was so funny to watch. Like, I genuinely didn't expect it to be this funny. Jenkin, Chanel, and Tom were sent into one of the task rooms, which had been made over into a sort of fast food restaurant. Chanel and Jenkin had to make the orders. Tom had to deliver them to somewhere in the house on a like little bike with stabilizers on, and then the housemates obviously had to eat it. And I gotta say, some of the stuff that they ate was vile. Chanel and Jenkin actually had a good amount of screen time in this episode, which was really nice. And my goodness, their friendship, their relationship, the dry humour that they both possess is so funny, because in between like people retching and choking down their food, they're just sitting there going, oh, do you reckon that they liked it? And it's just quite funny. It's just very, very funny to watch. And I'm starting to like them a lot more than I did last week, which is really, really good. So the rules of the challenge were that whilst people had to eat their disgusting food, they had to do it with a smile. And I don't know what Big Brother's obsession is with smiling, but it was so funny to watch, because we'd get, I think the first people to eat were Trish and Olivia, and they had to eat like basically a hot sauce burger. There was onions in it, there was hot sauce, there was chilies, there was jalapenos, there was a chili paste. It was crazy, but they managed to do it, and in between painful mouthfuls they were like this to the camera. Really enjoying it, having a great time. It was really, really funny to watch, and I think that's what this whole challenge was, really. Next up, Hallie and Noki were given fish tacos, which I think the fish tacos were the only ones that I probably couldn't have eaten. I think everything else I could have choked down, but I really don't like fish. Well, I don't really like the fish that they put in. So I think I would have really struggled with that. I think the only thing that made it somewhat okay... Actually, no, that's a complete lie. I don't think it was okay. I think it was just disgusting. I'm thinking of another food that they ate. The next people up were Yinan and Dylan, and they had to eat a triple cheese hot dog, I'm pretty sure. And it had like stinky cheese, goat cheese, and garlic and herb cheese, and then it was topped with ketchup and mayonnaise. Not ketchup and mayonnaise, ketchup and mustard. I think I could have eaten this one. I'm not a great fan of cheese, but like I don't mind goat's cheese in small amounts, but there was quite a lot of it. And like garlic and herb cheese is quite nice, especially on some crackers. So I think I could have done this, but I don't know. It still felt a little bit grotty to watch them eat this. Next up, Matty and Jordan were given healthy smoothies to wear. Well, they basically did wear it, because when they got it, they opened the lids and basically poured it down themselves, to the point where Jordan was licking the bed sheets to make sure he got every single last drop. It was disgusting, and I feel so sorry for Tom's bed. They made such a mess. Oh my goodness. Next up, Kerry and Zach were given egg mayo wraps and tofu chips. Now, I don't know what producer thought this was funny, but oh my god, they deserve a raise, because forcing Kerry to eat tofu was so funny, especially after she kicked off and said she'd rather eat her own shit last week. What an iconic moment, getting Kerry to eat tofu. And last but not least, we had Paul and Henry in the back garden eating a pickled pizza. Oh, it looked grim. It did look quite grim, actually. I don't know if I would have been able to eat that one. I think I'd have been able to choke it down, but it wouldn't have been very nice. It would have been quite tough. But the task was won because the majority of the housemates ate their food. I'm pretty sure everyone gave it a good go, which I think was what they were looking for. And the prize was a Chinese, which isn't much of a prize for me, but we move. Anyway, I'd much rather an Indian. Give me a curry any day of the week over a Chinese. But that was the task, and it was actually highly entertaining, which a lot of Big Brother tasks sometimes aren't. So far on the ITV version, they have been quite good and quite entertaining. So I have faith that the rest of the series will be good, especially after that. Apparently in Late and Live. Oh well, we watched Late and Live, and they're going to be split into rival ant colonies next week for the shopping task, which... Who comes up with these ideas? Who actually thinks, yeah, let's do that? That's a good idea. Yeah, let's put the time and effort into that. There was another rule break, and I've got to be honest, I don't think that Hallie should have been punished for this, because in explaining why she'd been called out for her previous rule break, she'd broken another rule, which was don't talk about nominations. But it's disappointing that they called her out on it, because she was just trying to explain herself after Big Brother landed her in a load of shit. So I can understand why the producers wanted to punish her. I can understand why she shouldn't have been punished, but it was quite funny seeing her walk around with a massive sort of like, I don't even know what they're called. Like, I want to call it like a tabletop sign. It's almost like she was wearing a sign, and it said on it rule breaker, and she had like not a klaxon on her head, like a cone on her head. And at one point she did her hair up around it, and she looked a little bit like Cindy Lou Who, and it was just quite funny to watch. They were throwing stuff at her as well, and she tried to use it as a weapon, which was quite funny. But I do feel bad for her, because I feel like that was unnecessary. Everyone thought that she'd gone to the diary room to go get their takeaway, but no, she was getting punished. Oh, it was quite funny though. I don't know what is in the water today, but Chanel was on one. Like, the start of her conversation with Jenkin was basically, would you be offended if someone called you a fat fucker? Or something along those lines. And me and my friend just sat there like this. Can't believe you've asked that. What do you mean? But they did have a really, really nice conversation about how Jenkin wouldn't necessarily feel as offended if it was from a stranger as if it was from a friend, which I completely understand. And then Tom came out and Jenkin had one of the best lines, which I'll save for later on when we do iconic quotes and moments. But he was talking about sort of like wanting to change his style every week. And Chanel was very brutally honest. He was like, oh, I think this will look good. And she went, no, I don't think it would. I don't think it would look good. Which was just quite funny. And I do rate Chanel a lot more than I did this time last week. So yeah, please keep being as brutally honest as you are, because you're actually turning out to be quite a queen. So it's time to talk about the live eviction. There was a lot of chanting for Get Kerry Out. Whilst we are all for panto shouting, there comes a point where it gets a little bit too much and it gets a little bit vindictive and a little bit hateful. You've got to remember, these people are not being portrayed accurately. This is not what Kerry is like. This is what Kerry is like for a fraction of the day, and we're only seeing a fraction of the day. She could be having wonderful conversations with a lot of her housemates that we're not seeing. Same with a lot of the other housemates. They could be having horrible moments that we're not seeing because the producers know we hate Kerry, so they're going to give us the moments that make us hate her even more, if you get what I mean. So yeah, I just felt like the sort of jeering got a little bit too much, especially when they're trying to announce the bloody results and you just got people screaming in the background. Just like, let the silence sit. This is why I think they should deliver the verdict in a controlled environment like the studio. I don't think they should do it in front of the public audience, because the public audience cannot be trusted. I don't think the housemates should be able to hear what the public think of them, because that's going to make them change the way that they act. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But the decision came out and you guys voted to evict Zach, which I got to agree was the correct way of voting. This week has been really tough watching Zach. I've not liked who he's become. I've not liked what he stood for. And I've not liked the shit stirring that he's done, because let's face it, it's not making it a very nice place to live for anyone. So he's out. They immediately called him out on the food situation. He basically said it's not deep. They showed him the reasons why he was nominated, and they questioned why he ate the last bit of Gnocchi's vegan cheese or whatever. And I don't think anyone had a problem with him necessarily eating the cheese. I had the problem with what he said afterwards, with when he said she's not going to die or something like that. It just came across as like, oh, you actually don't care. You are just being a bit spiteful. And he was like, oh, I didn't even know. But like, Hallie clearly had a conversation with you about it, so what are you going to do? They also asked him whether he's a game player, and of course he denied it. But I don't know. I think he went in wanting to shit stir a little bit, because he told multiple people he likes to shit stir. And the funniest part of this whole conversation was every time he finished talking, he'd look at the camera and pull a model face. So he'd be talking to Will, and then he'd go, like, if you rewatch that interview, he does it so many times. We had to keep rewinding it because it was so funny when he'd just, yeah. It's so weird, but very entertaining at the same time. And yeah, this exit interview didn't really do much to make me like him. However, I did like him talking about his mum, and I think his mum and his relationship with his mum is definitely one of the more special moments that we've had with Zach in the house. I don't feel like we've really gotten to know anything about Zach apart from his relationship with his mum. So I do appreciate that, and I think that that's quite a nice sort of thing to leave us on. And then they gave us his best bits, and they were all right. But I do think that Zach was the correct decision to leave this week, unfortunately. It's time for some iconic quotes and moments. And in this episode, we started off with like a montage of people getting up. And then there was just a random shot of Kerry blowing her nose. And I was wetting myself. I thought, why did they include that? That's such a random thing to include. The next thing on our list is Jenkin, and he said The worst thing I could eat would be a Kinder Bueno when, like, they were talking about eating foul food in the fast food restaurant. Such a funny, funny moment. It was such one of those sort of like, oh, we're going to give you horrible things. Oh, the worst thing I could imagine is this. And it's actually the one thing that you've been wanting this whole time. Just, like I said, this episode really made me like Jenkin and Chanel a lot more. Because they got a lot more screen time, and that's literally it. Like, the only reason I've not warmed to them so much is because they haven't had any screen time, but this episode cracking me up every second. In the same kind of conversation, Henry was asking, oh, it's not going to be Lobster Thermador, is it? And they were like, no, Henry, it's not going to be Lobster Thermador. Did you think that this is some kind of like bougie establishment? It's called Bow Fast Food. For some really weird reason, before Yinan was eating her food, she was on the like sort of breakfast bar table, and she just had her head in a lamp and was like, oh look, this is a hat. She has such random moments. And speaking of Yinan, she also had a hilarious conversation with Matty and Henry in the diary room when they were trying to teach her British slang, and it was so funny. And then randomly she just turns around, taps Henry on the leg and goes, nincompoop, and it was just I didn't quite know what I was watching. I was so confused, but it was also so funny. And the last quote I've got is another Jenkin quote, and when Tom came out and was talking about his style and how he wants to change it, Jenkin basically went, you two talk while I go take a shit. It was funny. It was really, really entertaining and funny, and I really appreciated the humour. So yeah, thank you guys very, very much for watching, and I will see you guys on Monday for another Big Brother review. Gonna take Sunday off. Probably got another video coming up at some point, but gonna take Sunday off from Big Brother because there's no new content. So I'll see you guys on Monday. It looks like the housemates are going to be forced to tell their true opinions to each other. So I'm sure that's going to cause a lot of drama and a lot of upset. So catch us on Monday when we're going to be breaking down all that drama. But thank you guys very, very much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. See you guys later. Bye now.